It's time to rethink Lily Ball. Soccer in Pittsburgh is hitting a fever pitch, but this isn't the 2019 team that won the East in the regular season. 2 games into the restart, their defense is good. Their offense is unrelenting. Indy 11 have ambitious plans, a stadium of dreams. But tonight it's about the team on the field, one just seconds away from a title in 2019. It's a heavyweight bout. Pittsburgh, Indy, live right now. Welcome to the USL Championship on ESPN. From Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Steel City, 2 teams off to perfect starts. From Group E, Indy 11. From Group F, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. We are playing behind closed doors, no fans tonight, which is in some ways a shame, Devin. Such an exciting matchup between 2 teams many expect to be there at the end. Let's start with Pittsburgh. This is a team that has been scoring goals at a historic pace.
The key question for a lot of people, Mike, myself included, was what was Bob Lilly's squad going to look like, considering they didn't even play a game at the start of the season? They were one of the few that did not get one on opening day. We get COVID, the resumption comes back. They looked phenomenal. They hang 3 spot at Lynn Family Stadium against Louisville, and then they dropped 6 on the youngsters from Philadelphia Union 2. Here's the scary part. They did it on the road. Now they're at the friendly confines of Highmark Stadium, where in the regular season, 25 games unbeaten. People think Bob Lilly. People think defense. You should look on the opposite end of the field, though. It's the offensive defending, which is why they're so successful. 3 flat lines. There's actually 8 players. Now watch as this ball comes centrally located. Eye on the prize. They know exactly where the pressure point is, and then they squeeze you. The minute this ball rotates back, watch everybody start to pounce. Now it's easy to look and think, oh, he makes a mistake, but that's why they're so good. The brilliance is they put you in uncomfortable situations, and then they make you pay.
Pittsburgh went on the road, spoiled the home debut for Louisville City. That was a little bit of payback after last year's playoffs. Indy lost to Louisville as well in the conference final. Devin, they brought back most of the core.
16 returners, Mike, for this team that made it to the Eastern Conference Final, and they are hungry. They are hungry and looking for that championship. They've done a good job at getting a quality start. It was a bit more of a fight against Sporting Kansas City, too. Martin Rennie admitted that, but I was really impressed with them in their match prior against St. Louis, but now you are on the road. But I really like the pieces they've added to it. They've done it from a different level. 2 League One players coming over. Nick Moon's going to throw his name in there. Oh, by the way, Connor Antley. That's your USL Defender of the Year. And by the way, the first player from League One to come to the championship with a transfer fee attached to his name. He's in star-studded company as well. When you take a look at the other pieces that they've added, names from around United States soccer that everybody will recognize. Cam Lindley, Andrew Carlton, youth national team experience. Cam Lindley was on loan from Atlanta. Andrew Carlton, of course, switch those around. My apologies. Graphic messed up, but we're getting going. Andrew Carlton, Atlanta. Cam Lindley from Orlando City. Now you have the opportunity to add these pieces to the puzzle and go for victory.
Andrew Carlton is not in the lineup. However, Ioze is going to miss as well. So couple key losses here for Indy 11.
The big miss move right now, Mike, is going to be in the middle, though. Watch Matt Watson. He takes over for Andrew Carlton. The situation is going to be much more of a 5. Andrew Carlton can stretch and push to the 3 up top, but they will drop a block in the middle, especially the way that the Riverhounds line up. The back 3 have been unstoppable, and Evan Newton has been a sight for sore eyes. Great to see him back in between the pipes, consistent. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Bob Lilly. Now that they're back home, they only make 2 changes. Rivera will come into the left wing-back position. Mark Forrest will go up top. The midfield 3 of Griffin, Mertz, and Forbes have really come into their own. Again, 9 goals through their first 2 games, and they've kept to 0.
So King Kenny will be the center point of this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side. It's done Bob Lilly proud. 5 games between these teams so far, 5 victories. That's going to change. We have kickoff when we return to Pittsburgh after this. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. The USL All 35 Championship clubs and its players stood together in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. They took a 15-second moment of silence as we all unite against racism.
Thank you.
And with that, we're closing in on kickoff here. Pittsburgh and Indy 11. This is the matchup everybody's excited about this week in the USL Championship. Indy in blue, Pittsburgh in white. The sun is going to set as we go along here in Pittsburgh on a steamy day at Highmark Stadium. Underway. Glad you're with us for this one. There are no fans in attendance. But you can bet this place, Devin, would have been sold out under other circumstances, simply following local official discretion.
They're watching at home. They know exactly what's at stake, both of these clubs, but the Pittsburgh faithful have always been quite kind to their team no matter where they're playing. And I'm sure everybody's just relishing the opportunity, Mike, at this point in the season to get this kind of matchup.
Knocked back by Griffin. Skylar Thomas. Maybe some trouble in the back. Pasher. Mertz. Pinged ahead, Mensah. Picked up by Evan Newton. Devin, what's it like playing with just a couple boats and maybe a passing train to watch? It's unique.
I can honestly say I've never had the boat aspect of it. The train I've been around before. Next thing you know, Steve Martin's going to show up in a car and we're going movie style, planes, trains, automobiles. Bob Lilly's been used to it though. I can remember growing up, there was a youth tournament in South Florida, Sun Bowl, and Disney Showcase is now taken over at Wide World, but Sun Bowl was the big one back then. That's the only place I'd ever played. One of the backside actually had a train running through it just like Highmark, and it was actually the backside of the Stroh's Brewery as well. So there were some, we'll just say, respiratory issues at certain points in time while you're on the field.
Sure. Flag stayed down and Mensah fell over. Mensah coming in from Nashville where he scored 11 goals the past 2 seasons. Feet of Howarth. Comes in from Ottawa. Devin, why is this matchup in particular so enticing to fans who maybe haven't seen Pittsburgh or Indy on this stage before?
There's a couple reasons, Mike. You start with the fact that, number one, it's 2 of the most consistent teams, not just in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship, but the entire league. They've been able to maintain their core group of players, add some quality pieces.
Gibson, good ball ahead. Nick Moon.
The level that they exhibit on a regular basis, too. That's what you have to remember here. Consistency is 100% key, and it's easy for people to say that, right? But when you actually see the performances on the field, they're not going out winning 1-2-0 and squeaking by. They are putting together real quality results. Fun styles to watch, free-flowing, wide open. Bob Lilly's team can drop it in, but counter with the best. Martin Rennie and his squad on the road in their beautiful blue jerseys. They know exactly where to push the right buttons. Feels like any single time that you need one of these squads to dig down deep, they always have an answer for you.
James Mertz. Down by Connor. Off the turn, Nick Moon. Watson tries to step in. Danny Griffin now. Former Providence Friar. Rufira. Rivera turned it over. Laid on for Gibson.
There's a good shout from Bob Lilly on the sideline, and I'm with him. It's just an unnecessary ball that does not need to go square across the middle. Either one of the passes that he was going to play was going to put his team in a bad spot. That's one, as a young player, you just got to step on it, Mike. Have a little look up and say, you know, is this really the direction we want to go? He had plenty of time, more importantly, space, to just pivot, survey his surroundings, and go, okay, let's change the direction again.
Bernardo Forbes. Floated wide. Ryan James was offside. Highmark Stadium expanded back in 2018. Opened in 2013. A lot of credit to the ownership in Pittsburgh who've kept pushing this along. It's certainly one of the most unique venues in professional soccer in the U.S. It's Moon again. And Moon was fouled by Dover. Free kick, Indy 11.
Both teams willing to knock it around here. Fun little start, putting it on the deck. And remember, Mike, on the artificial surface that obviously they're both used to, of course, Indy 11 at the confines of Lucas Oil. It's quick, especially the way that they play. Wide open, ball gets moving at a rapid pace, hard to keep up with. That much more important that if you're going to put it on the deck, you make sure you're playing exactly what you want to do. It's got a different checkup than natural grass.
Carl Howarth. Howarth will reach Hackshaw, but he's caught up to it. Watson wins the corner for Indy 11.
And this left side's going to be a fun one to keep an eye for us, Mike. Ryan James has actually slotted in at the left back position next to Van Casey on Skylar Thomas. Bob Lilly primarily uses him out on the outside in that wingback type role where he's asking him to push up the pitch a bit more. Now that he gets to drop onto that back three, what does it look like?
Runs circulating for Tyler Pasher. Howarth launches too high for Moon. On front again, Moon in pursuit. Carl Ouimet was there, out for a corner. Indy 11 will try again. Howarth, 10 goals last year, 15 goals in 3 years in the championship. Howarth skies up. Now head into the Paul Child stand. Tomas Gomez, all reliable for Bob Lilly, was the case in Rochester, time in St. Louis, and now in Pittsburgh.
You hear the rumblings in the offseason. Kyle Morton's leaving. What's Bob Lilly going to do? Hold my water. Tomas Gomez steps in. Back-to-back Golden Gloves with the Rochester Rhinos, 2016-2017. Just coming off that 15 championship season and didn't necessarily continue on the way he wanted to in St. Louis.
Forrest lobbing that across. Howarth steps back and drives it away from James. Now to midfield. Moon's been a real revelation so far for Indy 11. Moon went down. Limited challenge from Skylar Thomas. What about this kid? Nick Moon comes to an open tryout in Lansing. Ends up scoring 6 goals for Lansing Ignite in USL League 1 last year. Guy spent a few years toiling away in USL League 2 at Lane United.
The most important thing for him, Mike, is when you speak to any of his coaches, He's got a high IQ, so that's important. But he's always willing to keep his mind open and learn as well. And when you're in an environment like Indy 11, where you've got all these guys star-studded around you, it's difficult to step into that dressing room and figure out exactly where you're at in the pecking order. The good news is this is the type of organization where they immediately bond together, and that's everything you hear. It's not just from the players, it's not just from the PR and the coaches. Outsiders as well talk about how well this team gets along together. So it makes it much easier transitionally for Nick Moon to step in. And he's really done well up top next to Tyler Pasher so far.
Finally, someone's come out of the pack with it. Robbie Mertz, Pittsburgh native out of Upper St. Clair High School, went on to Michigan. Turned over high up the field. This evidence of Devon's defense to offense mentality. Ball across beyond Mensa. Forbes making the late trailing run as well.
There's a good look at it, right, Mike? I told you this press comes, it comes with a fury, and then we go. Look at Robbie Mertz out in space, understands he's got multiple options. You go right shoulder, little pullback on the far post. Either way, again, Riverhounds get it out in front of them. They stay out in front. 9 goals last 2 games. Just a reminder.
If there's been a criticism of Pittsburgh and Bob Lilly, even going back to his time in Rochester, at times it felt like they get their goal and they'd know that was enough. Whereas against Philadelphia Union 2, an in-state rival in their group, he said, we weren't content with 2 at halftime. We wanted a third, we wanted a fourth. In the end, they grabbed 6. There's a bite to this Riverhounds team this year that feels a little different.
You really started to see that change right after about mid-season last year, Mike, and they kind of looked around and went, okay, there are a couple squads around us that we're concerned about, and they can bag some goals. You looked at Lou City, Indy 11, New York Rebel 2, all of them sitting atop the East, and normally they are. That was a cause for concern. Now, they had the offensive talent, but tactically, they tailored a bit differently, right? It was kind of what you were talking about. You go get the goal, whether you're on the road or not. You start to park the bus, 45th, 50th minute. All of a sudden, those teams, not just the ones that I mentioned, but others in these, could grab a goal here and there as well. And they were only grabbing a point there, a point here. And that lead up top started to, that gap started to close a little bit. Just keep putting balls in the back of the net and remain healthy.
Mensa, sliding effort from Ryan James. This narrowly wide.
There's a nice little look over here developing on the left side, Mike. I talked about Ryan James, how Bob Lilly likes to use him in the wingback position. They're actually pinching Danny Rivera into the midfield, overloading a little bit, 5 and 6 at times. And James, he's exploring. He's pushing high up on the pitch. He's challenging Howarth on that right side. Conversely, Martin Rennie will recognize that and see if he can attack this when James does start to play a higher line than normal.
Mertz, a wide area. Dover looking to combine. We're at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. City of champions, no doubt about that. All the way along the riverfront. These outstanding venues. Consol Energy Center a little further into the city. PNC Park. And of course, Heinz Field.
You ever been?
Consol many times.
Highmark.
Highmark have as well.
Good man, good man. It's a good town.
Fantastic town.
Yep.
But you gotta know where to get the sandwich.
Among other things.
Well, There's only a few brothers I would trust with that, the Cervantes brothers. All the way down to the byline, whipped across, and out by Barrett. Corner, Pittsburgh, 15th minute.
Got some fond memories of trialing with this club in the mid to late 2000s.
You did.
UPMC, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Talk about playing in a bubble, MLS. That was a real bubble. 30 degrees outside, blizzard, you walk inside, indoors. Just say it wasn't my preferred destination. We'll leave it at that.
Corner, header, wide from Skylar Thomas. You remember who the coach was back then?
2007. You're going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, many coaches in your career.
Yeah. I know it was before their rebrand. They had the new logo and everything, new colors.
You think about the history of trialists for this team, especially since Bob Lilly's been here, but you could argue it's been the case now the entirety of the franchise's history. They find some incredible players that really don't get a lot of love until they get here.
It's not just trialists, too. You know, they're Robbie Mertz, for instance. Robbie Mertz is a collegiate player who, number one, did not get enough recognition coming out of Shaka Daly's program.
Watch out for this from way outside. That sends Gomez trailing back. That was on a hope and a prayer.
Patty Barrett going straight to the highlight reel. 15 minutes in, why not? He can pull it, too. Tried this against Sporting Kansas City, too, a few times. He was rewarded with a goal, of course, a bit closer than what you're seeing there. And the players, Mike, we were talking about Robbie Mertz. Gets drafted by Colorado, they don't sign him. That's a whole nother conversation. These players buy into Bob Lilly's system, and then they stay there. It is astonishing how long he keeps them. And a lot of them have come from his previous destination, Rochester Rhinos. He just picks little pieces here and there. He adds to what he knows, and the success just follows him everywhere.
Referee will try and squash this early. That's comfortable for Gomez. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship, many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. I would say this is outside Patty Barrett's range, but you really truly never know. Gibson. Decent enough interchange. Ran beyond Forrest. Patty Barrett. Played in Scotland, played in Ireland. Some major European experience. His second club in the U.S. Initially came to FC Cincinnati. Whistle against Connor Antley. Devin, I think he's a major story in the growth of American soccer in that you go to League One, you are the defensive player of the year. Teams want to sign a player that caliber, they pay a transfer fee.
Of course.
That's the future. It should be the past, it will be the future.
Considering it works in every other country in the world, why not follow suit in the United States? We're finally getting that business model right, which is a good thing. That started, you know, there are rumblings of what has happened of a few players, and I say a few because it is only a handful of USL Championship players making the jump to MLS. Mark Anthony Kaye is usually the example that's used, going from Louisville City to Bob Bradley's LAFC. The same thing should be said. League Two to League One to the Championship. There is a progression here. you're only going to get better if you continue to take steps. And that's exactly what Connor Antley's doing right now. The fact that he's able to step into Martin Rennie's system like this and be a starter, cannot ask for anything more than that. It's just a testament to not only the growth of this sport in this country, but that organization, what they've been able to do with that type of player.
Pasher was fouled. For what it's worth, Ioze, the tremendous Spaniard, picked up a slight strain last time out. They hope to get him back soon, but out for this one. Ball whipped across and beyond Hackshaw.
Notice how Danny Rivera has pinched all the way over now. The Riverhounds have rotated into a flat back four. Mike Ryan James is now permanently sitting right next to Van Kaziel Thomas, and they pulled Dover back a bit deeper. So you've almost got a diamond shape at times between Robbie Mertz, Conrado Forbes, Danny Griffin, and Danny Rivera. Now Rivera is sitting in the flat six. He's the holding midfielder that's dropping in behind, and then the front three get to have all the fun going forward. Even Mark Forrest is popping himself down in there, and that's what you have to do. When you get guys like Drew Connor, Tyler Gibson, Matt Watson trying to overload the middle, play the hold-up play, that's where Andrew Carlton has been so good recently. And with the switch, it's just a different look right now. Riverhounds recognize that.
Watson fouled. That'll be a professional yellow card.
Little start and stop right now. There's the aforementioned Matt Watson. I guess it's not too early to ask someone to dance, right?
See if that card come back to bite as we go along. So far, fairly smooth game. Scoreless between Pittsburgh and Indy. As the USL on ESPN continues. Two teams, perfect record so far atop their groups. Bouncing ball in. Mertz drives. Barrett, heavy touch. Regains control.
Let's see if Indy can pick up the tempo here a little bit, Mike. On all the restarts, they've been, outside of the last two, a bit slow to get going. And if you watch all the white jerseys.
This is a live ball. Moon crossing over Pasher.
That's what I'm talking about, though. See, quick little restart, throw it back in, get back to business. The Riverhounds are so good at establishing their dominance on the field. But just like any other team, they've got to get their wits about them at certain points in time. So look at Howarth. Quick little throw over the top, and we go. Nick Moon recognizes it. Little run to the back post. Yes, it's off. Pasher can't get there quick enough. But when you're not having success in areas that you have in previous matches, you have to find a way to evolve. And these little throws are exactly that can get you going in the right direction.
Saw Martin Rennie. There's Bob Lilly. You think about it, Martin Rennie mentioned it and Bob Lilly mentioned it. 16-game season over 13 weeks. In Indy's case, they played one game before the pandemic shut the league down for about 4 months. They're about to be at the quarter pole of the season.
People could look at the results and go, maybe they're peaking too early. There is no too early anymore, right? I mean, you've just gotten to the point where Indy 11, you're hitting your fourth game. Riverhounds hitting your third. Your form, especially coming off the fact that they only really had, what, 2 weeks to train with each other, starting to take off, you just lead right into the playoffs.
Mensa leading 3 Riverhounds. Ball lifted too far for Griffin, but hangs up on the turf. Cross whipped. Appeal for a handball goes unheard. And now Pasher driving forward.
Had a couple players lobbying for this to be pointed to the spot, Mike. Thought the first ball played to the back post was exactly where you wanted it, and when you came back around, just in traffic too much.
Pittsburgh trying to add a little bit of pressure here. Indies look good on the road. Venue where Pittsburgh has not lost in the regular season going back to 2018.
It's just downright rude.
Well, Indy could say the same at their home venue.
Regular season.
Yeah.
There you go.
These two teams lost on their home fields back-to-back to Louisville City in the playoffs last year. A real shocker. Ball across, attempted bike. No for Mensa.
They're pretty much attacking from every angle right now. Mensa up top. Actually would have liked this to have been called off, not run the screen and allow Mark Forrest to step in there. He's got to get more involved. Really like the midfield three and Rivera bringing up the rear. Everything they've brought to the table so far. Mensa trying to find a way to get involved in this match, but Mark Forrest hasn't exactly shown you that spark yet. Looking for his place. Only a handful of appearances last year, Mike, and especially when you get into games like this, your emotions can start running a bit higher than normal and overtakes your performance. You feel a bit lost on the field. Sometimes all it is that one ball to give you a bit of confidence, and try and find a way to get him more involved in the run of play right now.
Good hold up by Mensa. Then he finds the wide area. Looks in on Hackshaw. Great ball to Mertz. Mertz looks for the give and go. There it is. Great save, Newton. And then spins out of play. Terrific interchange. Evan Newton up to the task.
Told you, watch this kid, Robbie Mertz. He has a change of pace and direction that almost rivals no one in the USL Championship. Now, there's a few arguments, but look at him. In space, quick little touch, recognizes where the pressure is, dissects the little triangle, and lovely flick in behind. Evan Newton, though, really well done. That's, look, Mike, Mark Forrest came right off of him, right? There's your chance.
Service delivered. Is that in? They say no, it's not over the line. Off the crossbar and bounced out. A bullet peppered off the base of the crossbar. And Pittsburgh nearly grabbing the lead twice in a minute. Nodded down and launched over toward Moon.
All right, let's get a better look at this thing, Mike. From distance, really difficult to tell. Slow it down. I mean, that is just too close to call, right? Obviously no VAR. That angle, it's hard to see if there's daylight in between the ball and the line. I played the fifth on that one. I know better than to get myself into trouble.
Well, the AR had theoretically a perfect view down the line.
Bird's eye, standing, staring the entire way. And notice there wasn't an immediate reaction. Stood there, cool as could be, waited for play to continue, pointed, said no. Got to give the referee crew credit. I'm sure that Indy 11 fans are probably disagreeing, but there's no evidence there to say 100% yes. And of course, no VAR.
Off the hold-up, a foul. Antley tugged down by Mensa. Pretty incredible how much juice. Looked like Ryan James was able to get on that previous set piece too.
They're feeling it right now. We have seen a trend over a couple of these games, Mike, where home team comes out, starts to put together some momentum, some quality chances, hasn't necessarily stuck one in the back of the net. You go back to, look at one of the openers. Pittsburgh at Louisville. Think about how dominant Louisville was in the first half, couldn't score. Of course, Pittsburgh wins 3-1. There's another look at the angle, lovely redirect. Wow, I tell you, that's a much better look for me. That looks like it's in from that angle.
It's Moon. James puts this out. Half an hour in, Pittsburgh has had the better of the chances. Indy 11 on the road, protecting their 3 wins in 3 games start, including 2 since the USL's return to play. Empty stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh boy.
High boot there from Ouimet. Ouimet's going to be shown a yellow card.
This is the right decision here, Mike, inside the box. Dangerous play, and he understands it. Really well done by the refereeing crew. Martin Rennie disagrees, but the argument he's trying to make is that his head's too low. And I'm with it. However, the boot's too high, so it goes both ways. Excuse me, counselor, please approach the bench. Yeah, that's too high, 100%.
We're into the 32nd minute. There are hydration breaks in this game. Carl Ouimet will get a chance to relax for a moment. You know, Devin, you and I think everyone in sports occasionally misses big moments in their lives.
Yep.
And in the case of Evan Newton, the goalkeeper for Indy 11, today's a big day for him. I know you reached out to him to chat about that.
He was kind enough to reach out to me, and, you know, fortunately enough, he didn't mind everything I'd said on him about air over the past couple games. And, you know, we shared a nice personal moment, and today's his wedding anniversary, and he just wanted to pass some sentiments along.
Kelly, happy anniversary. It's been an amazing 2 years so far. So thankful for everything you do for me and our kids. You're a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife, and I'm just so thankful to have you in my life. Hopefully we're winning right now and you're not freaking out too much, but enjoy the game. I love you so much, and happy 2-year anniversary.
No, she's freaking out.
Oh, yeah. Kelly's sitting at home right now going, that is the sweetest thing ever, or she's going, he is so in trouble.
You're talking the 07 League Two Goalkeeper of the Year, went to Old Dominion, the 2018 Golden Gloves with FC Cincinnati, record holder in multiple cases, saves, shutouts in the league. This is one of the guys who's been there, done that over a long period of time. Obviously, congratulations to him and his family on 2 years, and upward and onward for him.
Hats off. Talked to him a little bit about being a father. I said, you know, I'm a couple months behind you. Can you share some tips? And he says, yeah, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But no, I mean, what a stand-up guy, right? I mean, you've got a lot on your plate right now. There's the restart, everything that's going on. Oh, by the way, you're a professional. You've got a job to do. And he's thinking about his family. I thought that was really impressive that he wanted to share this moment with his family in the national spotlight. I said, listen, mate, I'll do anything I can to make it happen for you.
So Evan Newton has made one giant save and spared his blushes by the crossbar the other way. Martin Rennie, we talked a little bit to him about it, said this is a family organization. That's a big part of the deal when you come to Indy. So all the best to them. We're in the 34th minute, USL Championship on ESPN. Both these groups, you could argue, becoming more difficult by the day. Pittsburgh playing in a group with Union 2, Red Bulls 2, Loudoun United, and a Hartford side that looks really solid right now. Indy 11 playing in a group with St. Louis, Louisville, and Sporting Kansas City 2. Devin, I think naturally you would say a team in a 4-team group is in a better position given that the top two go through, rather. Do you feel that's the case in this instance?
Comparing groups E and F? It's difficult. Normally I would agree. However, this actually came up in a conversation you and I were on one of the recent podcasts we did together, and I was really listening to you dissect it. The issue that I have with it, Mike, is in the 5-team group, you've got 3 2 teams basically. Obviously one's an affiliation, but they don't have some of that star-studded firepower that is regularly being loaned from a Red Bull, from a Union, from a DC United. So their team isn't as strong. It makes the games a bit easier. I'm not saying they're easy matches by any means, but a lot of the boys from Red Bull 2, for instance, they're down in the bubble. That was a different team that we saw in the Hartford 1-0 win. Hartford got outplayed in that game as well. And I mean this nicely. They were lucky to win on the road. Can they do it again? But the chances against the Loudoun, Philadelphia Union 2, that's where I like them more. When you're playing these teams 3 times, it's not automatic points, but I like their chances a lot better. I like it better in that situation than I do playing Indy 3 times, playing Louisville 3 times, regardless of how Louisville started. So there's a case to be made, but I almost want to veer towards the 5 in this situation.
Watson, Forbes played it down. Mertz knocks it aside. Jordan Dover pushes ahead. Nice flick on. Mensah is offside.
There's miles and miles of space between he and Patty Barrett.
Is that daylight?
That's beyond daylight. It's LED lamps set up in between them, give them a better angle and view. Well, the good news is the ball's on, right? Now you just have to tailor your run.
Clever idea by Drew Connor. Howarth. Gibson. Hold it wide, the step in. Off the Antley overload. Hackshaw. Liked away.
Really like to see Indy 11 start to find a bit of possession down the middle of the field. We've given a lot of praise to Riverhounds midfield, but Indy's struggling to punch back. Look at the guys in there too, Mike. Drew Connor, Tyler Gibson. We saw Matt Watson step up and drop back as well. I did turn my head a little bit when Andrew Carlton wasn't in the 11. I was really impressed with his performances within this team so far, and I asked Martin when he brought him off, you know, was that a change because of quick games in succession, you know, the war of attrition, if you will? And he said, absolutely, you know, we need to make sure everybody's getting some quality rest here, a lot of games in a short time frame. But when he didn't make the 11 today, I thought that was going to be problematic for them, and you're starting to see that play out. They just don't have enough of a link between the back 3 and all the boys in the middle. All these balls being knocked up top. You're asking Nick Moon, Tyler Pasher, if they're getting on into it, that's great. They don't have the support once they do get onto it. And if you're playing into their feet, no one's stepping to help them in a 2-3 man game.
Mensah tried to reverse for Mertz. Indy, to an extent, playing a little bit with fire, giving the ball away that high up. That's Pittsburgh at their absolute most lethal.
There's still this gap as well. And there's someone who has had a positive start in the match. Carl Howarth, just taking a knock moments ago. You get a better look coming the other side. Watch the leg follow through. The knee coming high. Just clips him at the tail end of it. They've pretty much only utilized this right side so far.
Let's talk about Carl Howarth for a minute, because you don't really have a one-club guy like him very often. 31 years old, born in England, grew up in Canada. He has capped for the Canadian national team. Comes out of Niagara to Ottawa Fury in League 2, then to the NASL, then to the USL Championship. this is a guy who was through and through Ottawa Fury, and with some sanctioning issues with CONCACAF, the Fury going away, and he comes to Indy 11, clearly in some pain right now, but you're talking about the kind of guy who walks into a dressing room and commands immediate respect, but a guy who came right through the system, pathway to pro, the way you talk about.
He was a striker in college for the Niagara Purple Eagles, and remember, all MAC back then, and so he comes out, and you kind of look, okay, is he going to make that step to the next level as a striker? No, they moved him into the middle. They moved him onto the back line. Thought it was really interesting how Nikola Popovic used him in a really attack-minded role at the outside back position. Now, he would move him up to the front line as well, but his ability, if you just watch him, he gets the game. He glides around the pitch, and he moves in and out of these tight spaces, but he does it in a fashion where as an opposing defender, you turn your shoulder and check and see that he's there. Almost the second that you start to rotate back to the match, he's already beaten you into space and the ball's played into him. He'll also make these moves inside as well. That's one of the places where Indy can be at their best, Mike. It's when they invert their outside players. You get Howarth and Iose, they tuck themselves in. You move Pasher into the wings, then the ball's out in front. That's where they're so good.
Howarth able to continue on. Newton drives it away. The lead on by Moon. It's Pasher. Pasher, such a handful again.
He can only do so much when he's 1v4 though, right? Pinned down in the corner. Lily ball, full effect.
Pasher did spend some time in Pittsburgh, probably best known for his time at Swope Park Rangers, back-to-back USL Championship finals.
He was part of the Dave Brent era, correct? Was Brent back that far?
It's about that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Dave Brent, the former Navy coach, coming into Pittsburgh, and when Bob Lilly comes available, certainly willing to make some moves. .42 minutes in. Highmark Stadium empty tonight. Although there are some fans near the walking path just outside the gates over there. Mensah went to ground, and a free kick for Pittsburgh. And they'll go straight for it. It's beyond James. You know, Devin, we mentioned all these players that come through the Riverhounds combine, how Bob Lilly seeks them out. We did speak to him last week about how the academy in Pittsburgh has been able to develop players up to 18, 19 years old. Oftentimes sends them to college if that's the right step for them. As this gets blasted out, corner coming, and then they end up coming back to Pittsburgh and starting their pro career here. So in the end, it all comes back together, and Howarth is down a second time.
Robbie Mertz is a good example of that. Local boy decides that he wants to go play in the maize and blue, and in his offseason gets an opportunity to come train with the pro boys, and there you go. That's not a good look from the trainer. Motion for Carl Howarth to come off. Tried to see if he could give it a go. It's been about 6 minutes, Mike. And this is a change that Martin Rennie obviously doesn't want to make, but wasn't going to expect anything like this whatsoever, and he's gone to the book quick. It's got to be Macca King, I would imagine. It's the easy replacement just to step on for him. There he is. positive thoughts to Carl Howarth, because he's not one to bow out lightly.
Macaulay King comes into a difficult spot here. Immediately thrust into service at the back post on this Pittsburgh corner. Ball knotted down. Newton in control for Indy 11.
Macca King's more than capable of handling the load on the right-hand side, Mike. The problem is you lose a guy who, and you alluded to it earlier, just carries that presence both on and off the field, and also the offensive presence. Macca King a bit more defensive-minded. Actually think he's got a better strike than Howarth, just in terms of long range. And he can serve a pretty decent ball. Great speed, but he's not as technical. You won't see him get into a lot of interchanges with some of the guys up top, or especially when they move 4 and 5 into the box. He's much more linear in his thinking, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that brings more into play of the balance. They haven't really utilized the left side as much, nor the middle of the field. And the fact that the guy who pretty much did everything for you in the first half has now stepped off the pitch, who do you turn to? Everybody needs to take a good look in the mirror at halftime and figure out what you want to get out of the second 45 minutes.
Coming up on Sunday, Indy 11 on ESPN again. ESPN Deportes, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to create a little early separation in the group. A tough one at that, with Louisville and Kansas City too. Sunday, July 26th, 5 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Deportes. Driven away, Pasher quickly rumbles out of midfield. Is there more here for Antley? Antley tripped up, free kick Indy 11, just over a minute into 6 minutes of first half stoppage time.
Poor mistake here by Skylar Thomas. Jordan Dover dove in, but he didn't panic. Step back, had 3 to challenge. Watch Connor Antley, just understands, okay, where can I get out of this? Quick little touch in. There's no reason to step in whatsoever. Dover had made his way all the way back. Look at Bernardo Forbes laying and waiting. You closed down and did all the hard work and then gave it right back to him.
Pasher. King back for Watson. Well defended in front of the section, typically for the Steel Army. That ball struck wrong. There's a foul along the way. Devin, is there a more underappreciated player in American soccer than Bernardo Forbes?
In American soccer? Well, that's a stretch. Let me get out my thesaurus dictionary. What's the book that I would look for that answer in? Help me out here.
Encyclopedia, I don't.
He's extremely underappreciated. I can tell you that at the USL Championship level for sure. I think when you look into the MLS guys, some people's roles are understated, but you could put him in the top 10 for sure.
Forbes. Well, that wasn't the most shining example.
And not with a ball like that.
For someone to marshal a midfield for the last 5, 6, 7 years at the level he has, really not get a look.
He's one of the few players, Mike, that's played under Bob Lilly that is really given the freedom to kind of do what he wants. And I say kind of because he understands the system, he knows his role. But a good example was that 3-1 win at Louisville City. They were not playing well by any means at all. Lou City was creating, had some quality chances. And then all of a sudden, Bernardo Forbes said, okay, what we're doing isn't working. We're playing the wrong line. I need to get on the ball more. And he started to really expand to the wings. That, of course, led to the Jordan Dover goal. And the next thing you know, they've popped 3 in the back of the net in about an 8-minute stretch between the two halves.
Run here by Moon. Forbes only 3 caps with Jamaica. So come back, free kick, Skylar Thomas going into the challenge.
It's a bit questionable here. There's no foul. Not exactly sure. Malfunctioning whistle, possibly. It's 2020. I mean, at this point, who knows?
Closing in on the end of the first half, and Indy would love to grab a goal before the break off this set piece. Pasher delivers, headed by Ouimet. Gomez is livid, but made the save.
He should be. This looked like this came off the mark by Mark Forrest. Just watch the back post run. Lovely whip on it. And Forrest stepped in on one, and I think Vanke is on the backside of the other. Didn't drift with the runner. Little miscommunication.
Forbes. Coming up at halftime, Devin goes ahead of the curve and picks some of his favorite young players to watch all season long over on ESPN Plus. Kind of academy products, and I think far more than just USL Championship fans are going to be aware of sooner than later.
Enjoy them while you can. Some of them might not be around here for much longer. Of course, part of the continued growth and ties to the USL Academy system that we've talked about multiple times, Mike, and we'll break it down for you. Have a little fun. Right now, either one of these coaches would take any one of those players, I can tell you that much. Martin Rennie, though, Indy 11, they've got to find a way to get back into this match in the midfield. And the Riverhounds, they hope those opportunities don't go wasted.
So Evan Newton makes one giant save, and call this an anniversary present. Bounces twice off the crossbar, but did not go over the line. Scoreless here. We go ahead of the curve and take a look at some of the top aspiring academy products, highlights, stats, and more after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the USL Championship on ESPN. Beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at Highmark Stadium. Scoreless between Pittsburgh and Indy. Let's go ahead, take a moment, take a look at what's going on with USL Academy.
Until recently, many youth soccer clubs in the U.S. existed independently from senior teams at both the professional and amateur levels. Many soccer communities didn't even have a local senior team their youth players could aspire towards. As the USL continues to grow and bring more senior teams to communities across the country, the USL Academy platform will build a bridge between youth and professional soccer. By driving collaboration between the local youth network and USL senior team, partnerships are formed, allowing for all organizations to work together in the best interest of long-term player development. Once that pathway is established, USL clubs will be able to field a reserve team, providing the top local high school age players a direct roadmap into the championship, League 1 or League 2 through participation in the new USL Academy League. For more information, visit usl-academy.com.
The sound of silence in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. There are no fans in this venue, but soccer is back home in beautiful Pittsburgh. Riverhounds and Indy 11 scoreless at the break. Devin, let's take a look at first half highlights. Pittsburgh showed a lot in this first half, especially when they win the ball high up the field.
I can ramp the audio up a little bit for you if you don't like the silence. Some quality movements. I really liked their implementation on the right side, Mike. The way that they overloaded, Forbes drifted over, Jordan Dover got involved, and they seemed to push it there. Conversely, Indy 11 didn't necessarily have that. Now, yes, Patty Barrett, 60 yards, why not? We know you can ping it from there, but it's going to take something special to get over the former Golden Glove winner, Tomas Gomez. Quick restarts. This was a key for me. Riverhounds started to understand that it was going to keep coming and coming regularly, but they started slow. 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities where they didn't really do anything with it. Carl Howarth finally recognized it prior to the injury. Nice little transition play. Pasher's not on the end, but I thought that was a good look for him. Is it in? Yes. The answer is yes. This is in the back of the net. Well, maybe not the back of the net, but it's definitely over the line. That look actually is not as good as the first one. Nice little redirect. Really well done by James. There it is. You can see daylight. Referee crew does not get it right. 0-0 halftime.
Scoreless between Pittsburgh and Indy. When we come back, we have second half kickoff. You're watching the USL Championship on ESPN. Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN. Pittsburgh and Indy scoreless at halftime with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Why don't we go ahead of the curve and talk about some of the great young talent making their way up into the championship ranks?
Some of the experienced professionals we're getting on the pitch right now, Mike, but when you look at everybody within the USL Academy system that's making some waves, let's start with Gallegos at San Antonio FC. For me, it's about his vision, his ability to recognize what space is available, but then to go make it happen. He does a great job in triangular movements. He's comfortable inside, comfortable outside, great with both feet. He should make the step to the next level. Now, let's transition. Let's go to Loudoun United. We go Jamie Garay. He's more a pace guy. He's more of a pace guy. He has to slow it down and speed it up. He's the tempo guy in the midfield. but he can also play distribution outside the top of the box. Usually plays in the 6 a bit deeper, no problem. He'll dish it. Not a big goal scorer. Needs to gain a couple of pounds, if you will. Mature that body, get himself to the next level. Okay, how about Aaron Cervantes? Now he and David Ochoa at the Real Monarchs, who's actually on loan from Real Salt Lake. Those two are in the pecking order for the U.S. Youth National Team. Cervantes at Orange County goes up against the best of them. Phoenix Rising, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Christian Piranha, another San Antonio. Now this kid, I was surprised that he came back this year, Mike. This is just called talent. It's not vision, it's not ability, it's not goal-scoring prowess. He checks every single box. Someone's gonna grab him quickly. Yeah, last but not least, didn't have the ability to grab something for him, had a little issue on the back end. However, someone who needs to be known, Hayden Sarges. Thought he did a fantastic job the other night on the back line for Mark Briggs against Reno 1868. Only 18 years old, but well beyond his years.
So there's a look at some of the players both from independent sides and affiliated sides making their way up, oftentimes as teenagers, to get pro minutes as we went ahead of the curve. Meanwhile here, players making their way back onto the field. And Pittsburgh and Indy ready to take on the second half. Across the country, healthcare heroes are working every day on the front lines, the fight against COVID-19. Players on the field, 15 seconds, a round of applause for those healthcare heroes a moment ago. That we're ready to go, second half of play. Indy and Pittsburgh. Devin, if you're Indy, what's the conversation like at halftime?
Get it going. The performance in the first half wasn't good enough. You can say, oh, they're playing tactics. They're easing their efforts off a little bit to make a run at the end of this. I can promise you Martin Rennie wasn't happy with what they put forth. You grab the injury from Carl Howarth, now you pick up an issue on the right side. Macca King changes the dynamics of the movement a little bit. It still goes back to the midfield, though. They're not on the ball enough. That's simple. For everything that they've been good at in 2019 and then transitioning to 2020, Mike, it started with quality distribution coming out of the back, getting Gibson and Connor going, and then finding a way to get the ball out in front of Pasher. That just didn't happen. Any of the balls that were being put up top to Pasher or Moon were usually played into their body, and you were asking them to take on 2 and 3 players at a time. You cannot win against the Riverhounds like that.
King, who came on for an injured Howarth in the first half. This struck from a long way out. I think that dented the sign, too. Bob Lilly's side have dropped 9 goals in their first 3 games. They've shut out opposition in precisely half the regular season games of his tenure. Now in his 3rd season at the helm for Pittsburgh. It's a new steel curtain, Devin.
I would say it's a different era, decade, but we're in a whole nother century. Let's get that out of the way.
Down the line, Mensah. Hackshaw trying to hold him off.
That was out.
Yeah, the whistle's late, but does arrive.
That's a fun battle I would like to see more of. Mensah and Hackshaw all day. Speed, size. Just lower the shoulder, trying to get around the corner. Good stuff by Neville Hackshaw. Now this is where I like the referee to let them play. That's well done. Little arm here and there. It's not going to hurt anybody.
Whistles late. Let's see possession back to Indy 11. The handball. Antley. Hackshaw. Moon showed taste of what impressed so much at the League One level last year. Connor Antley. Antley gets the return ball. Stood up. Thomas takes it away. As far as Gibson, Mertz. Wound out wide. Dover. This ball ahead, springs up on Mentz, who's able to lay this across toward Griffin.
Hounds get lucky here, Mike. That ball should have been one time down in the corner. Then Mensah would have been the one on the receiving end of that ball whipped into the box. Instead, he's the distributor. It's the little quirks like that that throw you off sometimes, and you're looking for that second and third run when your proven goal scorer is right in front of your face. You give me him, 6-yard box, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, I'll take that.
It's Forbes dishing aside, Mertz. Skylar Thomas. Forbes tries to step over, lost his footing. Watson played it away. Indy 11 get out on the run. Moon. They're saying Venke Azil pushed off there. Enough for a foul?
No. He's looking for obstruction. I like the idea by Nick Moon. It's smart. Touch into negative space. Both runners coming at him. He's just going to go right around the corner. I hate to say it. Maybe had to sell it a bit more. There's your mismatch, Mike. Obviously, Tyler Pasher wants it on this left side, but look at Nick Moon. He's got the speed. Look at the step up of Venke Azil playing high. Skylar Thomas has been much higher to start the second half here. If I'm Martin Rennie, I'm looking for Nick Moon to come over into this near touchline, play off of him. He's better with his back to goal anyway. You play into his feet, allow Tyler Pasher to get in behind. Now you've got him 1v1. The likes of Ryan James on the far side. And you're assuming that James hasn't stepped all the way up.
Dover. Forbes followed by Watson. Carries the captain's armband on the day for Indy 11. Venke Azil acting as the pivot. James rushing through. This chipped back post. Beyond Danny Griffin. Fans, you can follow your team and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN+. It's home of the USL Championship, USL League One, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the nearly 8 million sports fans who've already discovered ESPN+. Watch the championship live every week. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com. Of course, ESPN Deportes, Sunday. Live coverage of a St. Louis Indy.
Some of our running mates back on the air.
Yep. Jesus Acosta and Jose Rodriguez will have the call for that.
They most definitely do the broadcast proper justice. Good people, too.
Yeah.
Love to hear what they say about us. See, now you're knocking it. Now you're playing it. You're making the Riverhounds start to react instead of being proactive. Make them chase a little bit here for the Indy 11 squad. And I don't mind the pressure coming out of the back as well. They've had the luxury to kind of take their time, push them into those tight spaces that they're doing to you on the opposite end.
This will push Moon all the way down. with Pittsburgh. We spoke with Martin Rennie in the lead up to this game about trying to coach against Bob Lilly's system. He described it almost a little bit like Red Bull, not in its execution or theory, but in how hard it is to play against. But once you start to get an inkling of how to beat it, you come up with a few ideas that you can bring. What's Indy trying to bring in this second half to try and shift the narrative?
So you got to look a second ago, and I just talked about it prior to that. You need hold-up play. There's a couple different looks, but one is hold-up play. So if you go up top to Nick Moon, and he just did it, he drags 2 runners with him. That means he creates space in behind him, but also that means he needs support. So when he comes near side and he's got the ball at his feet, he's looking for the outlet pass to come in, and then you go the other way. That's when Pasher comes in behind, or you allow the likes of Connor, Gibson, or Watson to step into that space as well. You overload the space that you were just occupying. You can also go quick in transition so that when the Riverhounds try and press you up top, now you play in behind them. That's where you're asking the speed out of Connor Antley, Macca King, of course, Howarth prior to his departure. You go up over the top, you play the long ball, and you go with pace. That's when you start to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Pasher will walk away. Macaulay King out of Young Harris, a major small school in the college scene. Yanked down by Tomas Gomez. Indy trying to extend the lead in their group. A win before the shutdown, 2 since, including a 2-1 win against Kansas City over the weekend. Ford struck that too far.
He's got to go the other way there. He looked it as well. Over on the far side, had 2 options, played the difficult ball. He just hasn't really been himself tonight, Canardo Forbes. Neither team really efficient on the ball, some careless giveaways, but it's some of the decision-making in the final third that just really hasn't been crisp, Mike, especially not in the past 2 games that we've seen them perform so high.
Watson. Dev, you think back to last year, this was an Indy team in contention for the #1 seed. It's when they played 10 games in 36 days. Really tight congestion of the schedule. They faltered a little bit, ended up finishing 3rd. Still made it to the conference final. Played at home against Red Bull and against Louisville in the playoffs. This will bounce toward Pasher.
The Achilles heel to all that, their road performances. 6-9 until you drop 9 on the road. Remember, we talked about the matchup last year at Highmark. They lost 3-0 here, and it wasn't even close, by the way. They got played off the park. That was part of a 4-game skid on the road. Now, that culminated with a 1-0 loss at Ottawa. They turned it around. The next game that they would lose was the Eastern Conference Final. But you got to find a way to be a bit better on the road. Now, there are a couple theories. Is it the pitch, because they play on turf? Could be. Is it the travel, having to go across some pretty decent distances? That's not easy on the body. The depth of the squad was lacking compared to this year. So now that you've made those changes, and to be honest, the conditions they're playing in have made the changes for you as well. You're regionally based. Some of those excuses are going to have to go by the wayside, and you're just going to have to perform.
Was interesting, you know, you ask about how the road trip's going. Martin Rennie said, you know, when I packed, I was kind of going, what do I need for this trip again? What's a 2-day road swing consist of?
On a bus, too,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Spoke about the positive of being around his family more. These coaches live sometimes nomadic lifestyles. But going back to last year, he said, this is the first time since I got to Indy where I really felt like we were in position to compete for a title. Perhaps a missed opportunity there, but large in part, this group has stayed together. Barrett brought down by Mensah. A quick restart. No reason to think Indy doesn't have a really good chance to be standing there at the end, just like Pittsburgh. Barrett.
Some shouts from the Steel Army from afar. There you go, boys and girls.
Joined themselves behind what are traditionally the pitch side seats in Pittsburgh.
Singing, dancing, shirtless in November, in July. We've seen him in November, to be fair. There you go.
Long ball forward. Pasher has to hang up on this. Tried to slice by and got away from Rovira. Corner, Indy 11 as we near the hour mark. Pasher, remarkable story, was working in residential steel construction, 12-hour days, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just drives him a little bit harder after he left the Toronto Academy in 2013 for the 3rd Division of Finland. Maybe a chance to nod that back across. It's toward Barrett. Gibson.
It's an area, Mike, I would like to see them step on the ball. You know, what do you gain from launching this in, especially when guys like Tyler Pasher and Nick Moon are up top. Now, Nick Moon's a bit taller, obviously. He's right around 6'1". Tyler Pasher, a lonely 5'9". And you're launching a ball into a back line that's just loaded with the vertical capability to challenge anyone they want. Tomas Gomez is back there. Why not step on it, maintain possession, cycle it around to the other side of the field? When they've had a bit of possession here in the second half, because it has been better than the first, you can start to see the positive movements that they're making. Long ball over the top to Pasher just moments before. We've seen some better wing play. To the best of your ability right now, you're in a blue jersey. Just pick up the pace of play. They want to chase, that's fine. Make them work for it.
Ahead again. Moon with a challenge of Thomas. Toppling over. Ball did find Griffin. And as he reverted back across midfield, advantage canceled out. And they'll quickly work up the left-hand side. Pittsburgh at home where they're 25 unbeaten in the regular season. In the attacking half.
Robbie Mertz just took a lick from Matt Watson, by the way. Not just on the initial one. He stuck his leg out at the tail end of that. He was limping at first, but some quality words from Bob Lilly. And there he goes, right back at it.
Dover hung up there.
He's got an engine, man, Robbie Mertz. Kid just goes. Loved watching him in the system for Shakadeli, Michigan Wolverines, and that's probably why he's more impressive here under Bob Lilly, because it's totally different. He was at the top of a triangle in a 4-3-3, and he's just asked to do so much more. And I get it, it's the professional level, but the amount of ground that he's covering now, his ability to recognize when the game needs to be stretched and just step on it in other spots, really smart.
Two players go sliding into one another on a 50-50 ball. King went down shouting. Griffin's up and hobbled.
You can hear this all over. How late is it? Yeah, that's not going to leave a mark. Of course it is. Quite surprised the referee hasn't gone for a card here, Mike.
Leicester City youth pops back up and the card delayed, but now Griffin shown yellow. The third yellow shown in this game. Not a ton of commotion just yet. Changes may be coming shortly. Both sides up and active now.
The pride of Providence, Danny Griffin. He's actually played alongside Julian Gressel his freshman year as the backup to him. You can see some glimpses here and there.
It's interesting. They describe he's soccer quick. There's a wiggle to him when he moves. Straight line speed only means so much in the beautiful game.
As opposed to Julian Gressel, who just runs by everyone. Lightning quick.
Several ways to go about it. It's Drew Connor. Brought down by Antley. Came in from South Georgia Tormenta over the offseason. Off the hold-up play, ball for Griffin, intercepted. Through ball to Moon, picked off.
There's a ball.
Sneaks all the way through. That was hit on a rope. Mensah, the support arriving. Dover up the right-hand side. Good step. Antley looks the part. And the offside flag raised on Pasher, coming back to receive that.
He's made a couple questionable decisions in this game, Connor Antley, Mike, but what I've liked about it is he's recovered almost immediately. About 90 seconds prior, good hold-up play, and he tries to knock this 40-yard ball all the way across the field. That was just so unnecessary, especially through the spell of possession that Indy 11 had, but tracks right back in, good little tackle, team goes the other way.
It's Cameron Lindley who comes on, replaces Matt Watson. Lindley, 23 years old, out of North Carolina. And last year, really his first big chance to grab significant starting minutes on loan in Memphis.
It's a confidence thing for Cam Lindley. It's easy for people to look and go, oh, well, we only got a handful, 4 in his time in Orlando City. 2 years, a year and a half under James O'Connor, and departs. Loans at St. Louis, loans at Memphis. But you can see the talent there. And sometimes, to be honest, Mike, his talent's almost too much, right? But there's a reason why, even when he wasn't breaking through the Orlando City squad, he's still getting call-ups to the U23s. Still relevant in the national system. And wouldn't be surprised if Martin Rennie brings Cam Lindley on. I would not be surprised if Andrew Carlton is right behind him. They pull either Drew Connor or Tyler Gibson off. Pick your poison at this point in time. Drop Cam back behind him. Now there's a quality 1-2 punch I'd like to see with, what, 20+ minutes to go?
Griffin and Forrest coming off. Steven Dos Santos, who bagged a brace, coming off the bench. And that 6-0 win against Union 2 will come on. Lucas Fernandez as well, the Rochester native. Fernandez really didn't know Bob Lilly in Rochester. Maybe better to say Lilly really didn't know Lucas Fernandez. I think everyone watched soccer in Rochester had an idea who the head coach was. Dos Santos comes in as well, coming off a 9-goal season a year ago.
Wonder with the addition of Lucas Fernandez if Bob Lilly's going to ask a bit more of Canado Forbes on the offensive side, push him a bit higher, drop Fernandez underneath him. I was just about to say that that young man has had quite the shift so far tonight. Danny Rivera.
I love the quote that he gave in the press release in part. Love the view from the stadium.
Yeah.
Hasn't had a lot of time to look out there. He's been busy thus far. So he'll be attended to. Beautiful view from the bridge nearby.
Take that.
Skyline on the opposite side of the riverbank. Few more unique visuals than this. You think ahead, Indy 11, the drawings that they have. If you're into stadium drawings, the Indy 11 stadium rendering is the one for you. Trouble up front. Dos Santos fouled. It's going to be a yellow for Barrett. Dangerous moment. If he had picked Barrett's pocket, he could have been off to the races.
He knew exactly what he was doing, Patty Barrett. I don't blame him for going to ground here. Steven Dos Santos, quality pressure up top. Just causes too much concern for the center back and gets a little careless, to be honest. Have to be a bit more quick-witted when it comes to your challenge against Steven Dos Santos. There's the little touch. One in behind. Look at the trailing run coming from Lucas Fernandez. And is it Canardo Forbes territory? The distance might be a bit too extreme. He can hit it with the best of them. He's lined up, so only with the one-man wall. That proves nice, but you've also got some real big bodies you can play off of.
Dos Santos, notably 6'4", just came in a moment ago. Mensa 6'1". Skylar Thomas 6'4". Forbes, header is wide. Skylar Thomas, the target. Former Syracuse star. But Devin, you and I spoke with Martin Rennie a little bit about what lies ahead for Indy 11. He said everybody needs a home. Indy 11 has significant hopes that they're going to be next in line in Indianapolis. Right now they play at the Colts venue. I think there's some real excitement about what lies ahead for an organization that has tremendous respect in the soccer community in the country, period, much less in the championship. Runs to Newton. Antley. Antley goes down. There's the whistle. Foul conceded by Jordan Dover. Now set piece for Indy 11.
You just wonder, Mike, here's my concern. Watch the cut inside here, and I love the move. Connor Antley's looking for it, and I don't blame him. A quick little touch and you go. There's not a lot of contact, though, with Jordan Dover, and that's his argument right here. There's been a bit of inconsistency here from the crew in the yellow jerseys, and look, if you want to let the boys play, let them play. If you're going to call it tight, call it tight. The guys are having a problem with it because on one end you're calling one thing, and on the other you're giving a bit more leeway.
It'll be Lindley or Pasher to put this in play. Is Lindley. That didn't get nearly far enough. James had it covered. Head by Gibson. And you talk about Mertz being able to run. Gibson, we're talking 13, 14 kilometers a game. Cameron Lindley, I think, significantly improving his stock by how well he came in terms of fitness out of the shutdown. Indy feels like they're as close as anybody in this league in terms of fitness, sharpness, and the continuity they brought back. They could go on a real run of things early on this year and separate themselves in their group.
Martin Rennie is the only coach that we've spoken to, and we've had the opportunity with just about every single one in the USL Championship right now that dismissed the fitness argument right away. He said, no, to be honest, guys, we're in a really good spot, happy with where we're at, stayed active during their time off, and you've seen that throughout their matches. Tactically, that's a whole nother conversation, but they're definitely not lacking for that umph when we come 80, 85th, 90th minute.
Later tonight, OKC, RGV over on ESPN+. Catch every game of the championship season over on ESPN Plus, as well as USL League One. Dos Santos, late leap, involved in that foul. He and Connor get on with it. Fernandez. Sprinting through the challenge. This beyond Mertz. Barrett.
Brian James is a 5-yard ball away from putting Robbie Mertz in wide open territory at the top of the 18. And he just talked himself into the descent card. It's one, Robbie, where you just lick your wounds and walk away, my friend.
Van Kayziel. Dover under pressure. Step forward by Antley. That takes us into a hydration break in the 75th minute of what remains a scoreless affair between Pittsburgh and Indy 11. Both sides looking for an answer here late on. Come to you from Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh. Let me take a moment, show you some of the other venues that we're starting to talk about. Chattanooga Red Wolves are ready to open up their new venue.
They're getting there.
This is what things are looking like in Colorado Springs.
I'm hanging out on top of that press box.
Indy 11 with their plans, and here we are in Pittsburgh, recently renovated a couple years ago. That's a major part of the conversation moving forward. These teams that want to be part of the community for decades to come, generations, these are the steps you're looking to take. Pittsburgh appears to have their permanent home, and they can continue to add to this as they see fit. They can't wait to get fans back. You and I spoke with Bob Lilly about the message he'd have for fans. He simply asked them to be patient. They, the team, him, hear all the support that they've been getting. They felt like a win today would give some real buzz. You see the home of the Toronto Blue Jays over there. Also the Pittsburgh Pirates.
There you go.
If reports are true.
Yeah.
But hope to bring a little bit of joy tonight to Pittsburgh.
13 minutes and change to do it.
Well, there's a whistle, and Antley continues to argue his point. Things have become maybe a bit less clear in this second half from the officiating.
That's the issue that you run into, Mike, and you can have a lot of players that, look, you want a wide open game, but you also have to worry about player safety, and the issue is just the overall inconsistency. And if you're going to call a tight game, we talked about it before, just leave it there. Challenge back the other direction. And the argument here is it a foul? Now, the challenge itself isn't a foul. The problem is there's a pretty wild arm by Connor Antley. And that's what he fails to see. Elbow comes up high. That's where he gets himself into trouble.
So come all the way back, and Forbes on the turn.
I noticed you kind of balked at my idea of being on top of the press box.
They have a really nice club in there. You don't need to do that.
Look, Mike Sorber at LAFC, he watches all the games up top on the roof. Says he gets a better bird's eye view. I think the production crew would probably have an issue with me standing up there by myself and running the cables up, though.
Right. Fernandez slid away. Maybe Pasher here. Scooped up by Gomez. Down by Lindley. Antley. That's a terrific ball by Mertz.
Watch this run now.
Got by Moon. Mensah. Dos Santos. Heavy deflection.
Does it once again. The wonder kid, Robbie Mertz. Turn to the outside, gets around the corner. 2 needle threading balls. They get a corner out of it. Let's see if they can have a bit more fun than what we've seen. Neither one of these teams have been very eloquent from set piece opportunities this evening.
Forbes delivers. Skylar Thomas, the target again. The USL's elite pre-professional platform, USL Academy, allows clubs across the USL to build a pathway to pro soccer by bringing together top local youth talent. Following the success of the first Academy Cup events, clubs can now apply to participate in the USL Academy League, kicking off spring 2021. For more information, visit usl-academy.com or search the hashtag USL Academy on social media. James. Mensah. Great twist and turn. Mertz, who's taken a controlling stake in this game. Pushed ahead by Fernandez. Dover returns. Fernandez trying to cut that back. Poor clearance. Settled wide again. Lucas Fernandez crossing. Away by Barrett. Comes to Forbes. Bounces off the contact. Finds Fernandez a third time. James with King on his back. Dover skies this up, and an unnecessary collision, and Newton is looking back into the net.
We've actually seen Evan Newton be really vocal in the past, and quality sportsmanship shown, but how about the rest of the back line coming to his aid? Let it being made very clear to Mensah up top that they are not happy with the challenge on their goalkeeper. I'm right there with them. I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
A yellow for his trouble.
Martin Rennie, of course, with the injury to Howarth. He does the sub prior to halftime. And Cam Lindley comes in for Matt Watson. Now you have the 5 sub, but it's only in 3 windows. So his next change will be his last, regardless of the amount of players he wants to move. I'm still surprised that they haven't gone after Andrew Carlton. He gave high praise to Jeremy Raffanello as well, and I understand that he hasn't broken through into game day action. But for a kid that was highly touted coming out of the YSC Academy, gets an opportunity at Penn State under Jeff Cook, has an excellent freshman season, goes overseas. He spent quality 2-3 minutes saying, listen, just keep an eye on this kid. He's going to do some wondrous things for us. That's a pretty quality attacking option you've got on the bench right now.
Dos Santos pings this to the opposite side and stretches out for Dover. And here comes Moon. He's got support coming down the middle, lays it there, and a little bit behind the oncoming run of Lindley, who's taking it back now. Moon could have a go from here, and with a heavy deflection, flies into Gomez.
Tired legs by Nick Moon, Mike. Did all of the necessary press, continued to push. 6-yard ball to his right, can't complete it. Credit to him to keep going after he gives the ball away. works back, wins it, they get another chance. Those are just the little things. Mental focus at the tail end of a match. Have to tighten up a little bit.
It's Mertz. Pittsburgh looking for a late opening goal in this game that could keep them perfect in their third game of the restart. Indy 3 wins in 3 tries, 1 back in March, 2 here in July. Over plays it Ed Hackshaw, winds by Fernandez. These teams will play again on Sunday. St. Louis and Indy 11 play on ESPN Deportes, 5 p.m. Eastern kickoff to that. Red Bull 2 taking on Pittsburgh the same time on Sunday over on ESPN Plus. So both are going to have to get back onto the horse pretty quick. James under pressure from Connor. Van Keziel out of the University of Charleston in West Virginia. First team All-League last year. Rolls down to Fernandez. Another whistle, and Lindley grasping on to his right leg. It's been an uneven performance, some would argue, from the referee in this second half. See if a card comes from this.
This is behind everything, and here's the problem you run into, Mike. He's sitting on a yellow. Jordan Dover picked one up all the way back in the 22nd minute. That's a yellow cardable offense. But the way the game's going, you think you have it deep down in your gut right now to throw somebody out? Can almost promise you he balks at it. I mean, this is a yellow. This is a bookable offense, 100%.
We met here. Both sides at full strength here as we close in on the end of what came in is really a highly billed match. Substitution coming for Pittsburgh. Anthony Velarde will come on, and Rapapa Mensah checks off. Mensah actually pretty incredible. Hosts a cup for kids back in Cape Coast, Ghana the last few years. He's crowd-funded it. Really impressive young man. Still really young. There's a lot of expectation Mensah could make some waves going forward. Certainly a fan favorite in Nashville. Lindley. Over to Santos. Throw Indy. Ran away. You wanted to see Jeremy Raffanello, you're going to get him. Showed up at the open tryout as starter, as you mentioned, at Penn State, signed in Denmark, didn't work out. They felt he was unlucky not to get a contract in Philadelphia previously. Played a bit with Bethlehem Steel. Now Philadelphia Union 2, and Moon comes off. I think Nick Moon is a really positive alternative on the opposite side of Tyler Pashard.
You don't necessarily get to see everything that he's capable of with the lack of presence in the middle of the park tonight for Indy 11, but he still worked really hard. Thought he opened up some bright spots for himself as well as some of the teammates. Sometimes, Mike, you work to the end and then give it away. That's where Nick Roon ran into a bit of difficulty. You're putting together 40, 50-yard runs sometimes, and then you turn around and no one's there. Asked to do a bit more than you'd like on your own.
Starting in on 6 additional minutes of stoppage time. Fernandez. We met trying to go stride for stride. Fernandez cutting it in. He's won a corner for Pittsburgh, and they have all these big bodies to get forward.
Something to think about for Indy as well. You know you're going to bring them up. So get your marks quick and then just set yourself up here, Mike, if you're Indy 11. Obviously, you've got a job to do in and around the box. But the second this is whipped in, watch the outlet pass. It's going to be loads of space to work with, some tired legs to go the other direction. Quick little counter could be on.
They've aimed for 34 in white a couple times. Forbes this time. Defensive header. Falls. Thomas, no. Dos Santos followed. Velarde. Pushed aside. Antley. Seeds a throw to Pittsburgh. Dover curls in service. Corner Riverhounds. Canardo Forbes. Double-digit assists a year ago. Cross. Too far for Thomas. And here's potentially that counter you were looking for. Broken up. Dos Santos. Closure by Venke Azil keeps the long diagonal from getting played.
Steven Dos Santos looked like he was actually in an offside position, tracking back in. Bit of gamesmanship. Ryan James taking his time, getting to the other side of the pitch to put this back into play.
It's Fernandez. Velarde went to ground at the edge of the penalty area, scooped up by Newton, who's approaching his 49th career shutout in the USL Championship in his 7th season. Indy St. Louis on Deportes, ESPN Plus. We'll have Pittsburgh and Red Bull 2. Sunday, 5 Eastern. Is this the first time each of these teams drops points this year? Gibson. King. Can Indy get a late shot here? Got it back by Lindley. Mertz. Velarde. Long cross forward for Steven Dos Santos. Well, there's a card here. Velarde, rather new to this game. Bob Lilly, the Riverhounds head coach, having a word or two late on here. Throw Pittsburgh. Is it the final chance here? Final half minute of second half stoppage time. Mertz. Mertz has had some electric moments. Got it by Lindley. Forbes. Ball brought down. Velarde off the turn. Forbes pings it forward. And now Pasher. This has to be it now. Pasher stepping inside. Can he grab the extra points? Pasher! Oh, what a win for Indy at the death! Unbelievable!
Doesn't matter, Mike, if you don't have your best performance. It does not matter if you chase most of the game. All you need is a glimmer, and it cometh in the form of Tyler Pasher. He cannot be stopped. He will not be defeated. From distance, with authority, Tomas Gomez can do nothing but watch as pure class and excellence just graces us at the death of this match. Tyler Pasher, take a bow.
And Indy is on the verge of ending a 25-match unbeaten streak at home. Watch out for this. Barrett drives it away. Full time. Tyler Pasher with an all-world goal seconds before the conclusion to lead Indy over Pittsburgh.
Special moments, Mike, come from special players, and Tyler Pasher is exactly that. Sometimes you can read the scouting report, you know where to push him, and then he turns the corner and gives you a whole nother look. This was textbook from Tyler Pasher. Turn out in space, pull the trigger from distance. Is it hit with hope? Possibly. But the skill was right behind him to give him the authority that they needed to get out of here with 3 points.
Tyler Pasher, 13 goals last year, a career high. Grabs a late game winner. The verge of the 7th minute of stoppage time. Indy 4-0 to start the year, 12 points. And 3-0 since the restart. The goal that leaves you gasping for air. Let's take a look at the full-time highlights as Indy knocks off Pittsburgh For the first time since 2018, the Riverhounds lose at home. Pittsburgh was on the front foot much of this game.
It's a little different, Mike, right? That's not the ending we probably thought we were going to see based upon the way that the match went. Yeah, I mean, they carry the load for the entire game, forward and back. Thought on the defensive side they were quite quality. There were a few lapses here and there. And we mentioned how the restarts needed to be better. Carl Howarth started to get them going there. They would become few and far between in the second half. Tyler Pasher just didn't seem himself. Some of that was him in frustration, wandering, trying to get involved in the play. The Riverhounds, on the other hand, they looked right at home. Literally, back at high marks, good play. Is it over the line? Certainly looked like it was. Refereeing crew says no, so you get back to the job at hand, right back to business. As you said, Evan Newton, happy anniversary. Okay, so we go back to work. Not a lot of chances in the second half. Nick Moon was very active, still looked for more out of the midfield. Enter Tyler Pasher. How special is this? From distance, just a touch inside, plays off Raffanello. Now, there's not going to be a lot of credit given to Jeremy Raffanello in this play, but if you watch him peel off, he drags the runner and the space with him. Parts the seas for Tyler Pasher. That's all she wrote. 1-0, Indy 11.
The goal that wasn't, only superseded by the goal that was. Indy now 4-0 to start the year. Pulling away from their group, Pittsburgh, 9 goals their first 2 games. Held off the score sheet entirely with this late gasping game winner. For Devin Kerr and our entire Vista World Link team, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching the USL Championship on ESPN.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.